Today, lawmakers got a private security briefing on this ongoing mystery of the unexplained drones that we have seen flying in the skies over New Jersey. U.S. intelligence and security officials are telling lawmakers that these flying objects that keep getting reported, like this one seen flying over a football field in Oakland, New Jersey, have no suspected ties to foreign adversaries. Lawmakers were also told that many of the recently reported sightings are believed to have been civilian aircraft that were mistaken for drones. But New Jersey leaders and the political leaders there say that they're still not getting answers on where exactly these objects are coming from, or who is controlling them, or where they're going.
I want to assure the American public that we are on it. We are working in close coordination with state and local authorities. And it is critical, as we all have said for a number of years, that we need from Congress additional authorities to address the drone situation. Our authorities currently are limited, and they are set to expire. We need them extended and expanded.
So the Department of Homeland Security is asking for even more power, and Alejandro Mayorkas is asking for it after more Americans grow concerned about these drones that continue to light up our skies. Something here just doesn't sound right. It's not just because it came from Alejandro Mayorkas, but because it just all seems to be a little bit, massive psyop. And then, of course, there's the CIA. Laura Ballman, former CIA operations officer, says that these drones could be a part of a classified exercise, meaning that these things could actually belong to the U.S. government, and that they're testing either evasion technology or detection technology in urban areas. Do you guys buy that? Now, she also added that they would be shocked to know if the drones were related to the CIA. And the alleged cover-up is being laid on as thick as New Jersey Congressman Chris Smith talked about providing us with answers as soon as possible. Question is now, how soon will that actually be?
What is going on here, and when can people expect to get some answers from our leaders?
They should have had them immediately. Last night I was on the beach with Sheriff Mastronardi, and he's doing a magnificent job in trying to ascertain a threat for this. He's the Ocean County Sheriff. Sean Golden's doing the same thing in Monmouth County. So I was there on the beach, and I talked to several people, including a commander for the Coast Guard, who told me that the night before, I was there last night, so 2 nights ago, one of their 47-foot boats, was trailed very closely by more than a dozen of these drones. Now that, to me, is very, very not just suspicious, provocative, and this could be a foreign power, whether it be Putin, or whether it be Xi Jinping in China, or the Middle East. We can't rule any of that out.
So on the one hand, CIA, or at least a former CIA officer, is telling us that, hey, this is our drones. Now, on the other hand, we've got state representatives telling us that it's either Russia or it's China. So who are we supposed to believe? Well, CEO of Saxon Aerospace, John Ferguson, took a shot at this phenomenon. Now, be aware, guys, that Ferguson's company manufactures unmanned drones for the U.S. military. So his word has a lot of credibility to it, besides the fact that Joe Rogan retweeted this video saying that he's genuinely concerned about everything that's happening right now. Watch.
There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong, but I want to give you the truth and what I believe. It's my own opinion, and I've not bounced this off of anybody. So, if you think it's bullshit, whatever, that's cool. I don't want to spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around. But anyway, back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay? We don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case.
Now, let's just go ahead and pause for a second, okay? We're now talking about nuclear warheads, and now these warheads could be headed for our country. Ferguson further talked about the possibility of these drones being used to try and pick up radioactive signals, because he says that drones have no business flying up at night unless they're looking for heat signals, arguing that thermal optics would be at play since the cameras that these drones have can't see at night. That's the only logical explanation at this point. He also talked about a man who tried to tell our government about this warhead. Yep. Nuclear warhead somewhere in America, possibly in New Jersey. Can you imagine? I don't know. You're digging in the backyard, planting some petunias or something like that. And then all of a sudden, your shovel clips the head of a nuclear warhead. Probably not a good afternoon. So it's kind of like a warning of sorts. What did our current administration do about it?
With this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead. None of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm and raise awareness that there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now. It left Europe. Now it's gone. So my guess, my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So, my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground. Gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever.
This is absolutely terrifying. To know that a nuclear warhead is out there is bad enough, but to know that this administration had a chance to intervene and they didn't, and now it's plausible that they're looking for it, which explains why they're not doing anything about these drones. That's because they're probably ours, but that they can't reveal why they're flying at night. So this is an actual nightmare scenario for the people of this country. Everyday American citizens could literally be surrounded by a nuclear warhead somewhere underground. Maybe the nuclear warhead's in a building somewhere for all we know. So again, this is a nightmare scenario for people who are living in this country. And remember that we've got DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas telling us not to worry about anything. You guys remember the pandemic. They told us not to worry, right? How'd that turn out for us? Which is probably the exact opposite of what we should probably be doing, given that a warhead is on the loose. I don't know about you guys, but I don't feel all that comfortable with a nuclear warhead just sitting out here somewhere here in America. And just to add to the credibility of this theory, radiation spikes are being detected in New York and New Jersey. 2 locations in Hamilton Park in Weehawken, New Jersey, and the Lincoln Tunnel going into New York were flagged. Is anybody else feeling as freaked out as I am? Prolonged exposure to the radiation that was recorded in these areas pose a serious health risk to the public. Can anybody imagine like the amount of cancer spikes that could occur in those areas where people are possibly being subjected to this nuclear radiation? I mean, which again makes a lot of sense as to what Mayorkas is telling us. But does it really surprise you to know that the government is probably not telling us the whole story, or maybe even just straight up lying to us? Speaking of which, it's hard to lie about our age, especially when you get to a point where you slip and fall, causing you to break a few bones. Maybe Nancy Pelosi shouldn't have been rocking those 4-inch heels throughout Congress. But that's what we're looking at with the aging lineup that we have in our federal government, guys. Namely, Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, both of which took a terrible tumble recently that begs a very simple question. Is it time for a term limit or maybe an age limit for these positions?
People right here in Metro Atlanta are looking for answers about what they're seeing in the sky. Hey, we want to welcome you back here at 4:30. Questions mounting right now after weeks of drone sightings across several states. We've gotten emails right here to the newsroom here in Atlanta.
And it's making a lot of headlines all across the country.
Yeah.
Now we're hearing from 11 Alive viewers who are saying that they are spotting drones above their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And they have questions about why the drones are there and who's actually flying them. 11 Alive Joe Hinkey joins us live from Midtown. And Joe, are police or law enforcement agencies here getting a lot of reports about these drones?
Well, Ron, unlike up in New Jersey and the greater Northeast, here in the Atlanta area, that answer appears to be no. We've reached out to the GBI, FBI's Atlanta office, and several police departments across the metro, and none of them tell us that they have any active reports that they're investigating of mysterious drones here in our area. Yet, as you mentioned, 11 Alive viewers, we have plenty of them sending in their own videos of what they say are drones flying over their neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's 100% a drone.
This video is from Britton Lockhart, filmed outside his Smyrna area home.
And then there's another one right there.
It is one of several he recorded late Friday into early Saturday morning.
And the weirdest thing to me, how I knew they weren't planes, they weren't flying up super high in the sky. They were very low, and they were emitting light into the sky. It was strange.
Lockhart says he spotted a handful of drones.
That's another one right next to it.
Really?
And several 11 Alive viewers sent our newsroom their own videos saying they spotted something similar at night in their part of the metro this past weekend, but some sound and looked more like planes. If you were spotting drones in your area at night, Homeland Security Director Alejandro Mayorkas is offering one possible explanation: an FAA policy adopted last year allowing drones to fly at night.
That may be one of the reasons why now people are seeing more drones than they did before. I want to assure the American public that we are on it.
Over the weekend in the northeast part of the U.S., the FBI, DHS, and FAA officials said a large percentage of drone sightings there are actually commercial, private, and government air traffic confused for drones. But homeowners and lawmakers are not as sure. U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer of New York is supporting legislation that would help local law enforcement detect and confirm drones.
Right now, state and local law enforcement does not have the ability or the legal authority to detect drones. It's only the federal agencies. But because there are so many of these drones in so many places, our local authorities want and need the help. This legislation will get them the help.
On and they're going super fast.
And Lockhart wants to know what he saw flying above his neighborhood.
That's the mystery behind all of this, and I think people deserve an answer as to what these drones are because it affects everybody in their daily lives.
And up in the Northeast, where there have been all of those drone sightings actually reported to law enforcement, the Department of Homeland Security and FBI, they released a joint statement, and they said so far, based on their investigations, there does not seem to be any public safety threat or foreign connections to the drones that have been flying in those areas. Reporting live in Midtown Atlanta tonight, I'm Joe Henke, 11 Alive News.
And now, in response, reporters reached out to key authorities like the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the GBI, the FBI's Atlanta office, and various local police departments. Surprisingly, none of these agencies claim to be investigating the sightings. Now, why is that? Now, Lockhart and other residents are left wondering, well, who the heck is operating these drones and why? He said that this is the mystery behind all of this. And I believe people deserve an answer as to what these drones are, and because it affects everybody in their daily lives. I agree. We need to know what's going on with these drones, who's operating them. If they're operated by our own government, what are they looking for? Like, why are they suddenly in the skies and so many of them at night? And adding to the mystery, these sightings, they come on the heels of incidents in the Northeast where drones cause disruptions. For example, one drone activity interference actually interfered with the operations at an Ohio military base and even temporarily closed a runway at Stewart International Airport in New York. Alejandro Mayorkas, the director of Homeland Security, he acknowledged these drone sightings and pointed out that a recent Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA policy, might explain the increase. Now, this policy, introduced last year, allows drones to fly at night. And Mayorkas, I don't know if you believe or trust what he's saying, he reassures the American public that, hey, I want to assure the American public that we are on it. Okay. So despite these reassurances, not everybody is convinced. The FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS, and the FAA suggest that many of these sightings in the Northeast are just commercial, private, or government aircraft being mistaken for drones. However, the explanation hasn't eased the skepticism of homeowners and lawmakers. In fact, one prominent figure calling for action is Senator Chuck Schumer from New York. So Chuck Schumer, he supports new legislation that would empower local law enforcement to detect and confirm drones. Chuck Schumer explained the problem by stating, Right now, state and local law enforcement doesn't have the ability or the legal authority to detect drones. It is only the federal agencies. But because there are so many of these drones in so many places, our local authorities want and need the help. The legislation will help them to get the help. So I don't know if you guys want I don't know if you guys want local law enforcement to have more authority. It just seems like sometimes they create problems only to implement the solutions that they wanted to implement anyway. So I'm just saying. Finally, the DHS and the FBI issued a joint statement to reassure the public, stating that these drone sightings in the Northeast do not pose a threat to public safety and are not linked to any foreign activities. Now, I don't know how much you guys trust Alejandro Mayorkas or Chuck Schumer, but that's what they're saying. Now, get this, guys. A New Jersey mayor is now linking these drone sightings to missing radioactive material. Yes. Residents in New Jersey, in fact, are growing more and more anxious by the day after seeing very mysterious drones flying in their neighborhoods. These drone sightings are now being linked to potentially missing radioactive material, according to Michael Melham, the mayor of Belleville, New Jersey. Now, Melham spoke about the situation on Fox 5 New York and Good Day New York, explaining that he and other New Jersey officials, they were given very little information by state and federal agencies. In fact, he described the lack of transparency as deeply concerning, saying, this lack of transparency, in my opinion, is doing nothing but fueling conspiracy theories. Well, guess what? If you don't want conspiracy theories to be flying around online, tell the people what the freak is going on, right? Anyway, so Mayor Michael Melham, he participated in a statewide briefing about 6 days ago with all New Jersey mayors and members of the state legislature. Despite the large number of officials that were involved, they learned almost nothing concrete about these drones. Complete waste of time. Melham remarked, "We learned exactly what the state knows, which is very little." The concern further escalated when it was revealed that the radioactive material went missing in New Jersey on December 2nd. A shipment arrived at its destination, but the container was damaged and found to be empty. Melham suspects that the drones are being used to search for this missing material. And this is probably where the theory is that they're looking for a missing nuke somewhere out in Northeast, maybe in the Southeast America, since drone sightings are now being reported in the Atlanta metro area.
This saying that as officials continue to investigate the origins of mysterious drones reportedly spotted in the skies over New Jersey, Belleville, New Jersey Mayor Michael Melham was on Fox 5 New York earlier on today. He suggested that they might be connected to missing radioactive material. And he said earlier this morning that information, quote, has not been forthcoming. That's doing nothing but fueling conspiracy theories. I want to put up this post here from the mayor out of New Jersey talking about this, saying they held a briefing to House Intelligence Committee. Yet yesterday, New Jersey mayors were told nothing to see here. Clearly, there's something. I hope the representative out of New Jersey immediately headed to the cameras after the briefing. New Jersey residents demand to know. So let's take you out to this segment earlier on today on Good Day New York with Belleville Mayor Michael Melham. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
Residential neighborhoods, restricted sites, even near President-elect Donald Trump's home, and critical infrastructure.
Belleville Mayor Michael Melham says the drone sightings are creating anxiety in his town, and he's looking for answers. And he joins us this morning right here on Good Day New York. Thank you for joining us, Mayor. You know, President-elect Trump says that the Biden administration knows what's going on. Our government knows what's going on. You're the mayor of Bellevue. What do you know?
We know very little. About 6 days ago, there was an unprecedented briefing with every single mayor in the state of New Jersey, along with every member of our state legislature. We learned exactly at that time what the state knows, which was very little. Since then, information has not been forthcoming. And it's this lack of transparency, in my opinion, that's doing nothing but fueling conspiracy theories online.
Do you have any idea what it could be? Or which side it could be, where it's coming from?
Yeah, I can tell you what it's not. We know for a fact it's not little green men. And more than likely, it's not a foreign adversary because they would be able to figure out how to turn off the blinking lights. These drones are huge. We had a mayor yesterday on the call with the White House telling them that he had 6-foot drones hovering over his house. Yet they continue to tell us, we don't know what we're talking about. It's misidentification. Certainly, there's some misidentification probably going on. But I could assure you that we are seeing drones in New Jersey all over the place.
All right, so Bethany Frankel, I know she's not like, the New York Times, but she says that she has like some kind of contact at the Pentagon and that it has something to do with radioactive material in New Jersey. What are you hearing?
So here's what I know. I know that we were told by our state police that we have assets over our critical infrastructure. Now, depending on your point of view, that's either concerning or comforting. I think it's comforting because it's probably us listening and watching. We also know that we have drones that are flying in a grid-like pattern. In my opinion, they're looking for something. What might they be looking for? Well, potentially, we're aware of a threat that came in through Port Newark. Maybe that's radioactive material. There was and there is an alert that's out right now that radioactive material in New Jersey has gone missing on December 2nd. It was a shipment. It arrived at its destination. The container was damaged and was empty. So potentially we're looking for that.
Stop right there, Mayor, because that's very important information. And that came from a credible source.
That came from the U.S. government.
And so it's missing?
Missing.
And they think it's in New Jersey or it could be anywhere?
It was lost in New Jersey, in transit. And again, this is just an example of what I think that we're sniffing for. I think we do have the assets that can go up and fly around and sniff things, which is why we're not seeing the uptick we used to see in Belleville anymore. It's kind of moving, but we're seeing alerts that it's happening now in Pennsylvania.
And that's right about the time that the drone sightings began, right?
Yeah, drone sightings began about 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so when you take a look at this, if this information is indeed credible, why wouldn't the government say, it's us?
That's the crazy part about this. We've gotten very little information. Even yesterday on that call with the White House, literally mayors were told, you guys are seeing things. There's no credibility to this. We have one mayor, like I said, had drones over his house. I mean, we're no longer going to stand for not hearing the truth. I mean, our state government is failing us. They're not getting the answers from the federal government. And even though yesterday they told us that there's nothing to see here, today there's a top secret briefing going on in Congress. Well, what are they being told that we weren't told yesterday?
Real quick, did you know yesterday when you were on that call about this missing radioactive activity or merchandise, or did you know that this morning after the call?
I was made aware of it yesterday morning. I did raise my hand. We weren't allowed to speak. I did raise my hand, was not called on to get that question answered.
So apparently it is concerning. Even the president-elect, who I'm sure gets some kind of briefings on things, he says he's not going to his home in Bedminster, right?
Yeah, I listened to him yesterday. He no doubt gets the same exact briefings that President Biden gets. He says our government knows. He says our president knows. And he also ended with saying, I'm not going to be in New Jersey this weekend.
So what do you want to know? What do you want the government to tell you and the general public?
I want them to be clear with us. I want transparency. I want them to say these are our assets. There's no need to concern about what's flying. The question should no longer be who's flying these drones or who owns them. It should be what they're looking for. Tell us they're ours. Tell us that they're protecting us, and tell us what the threat is.
Okay, we're coming up on the holidays. Is everybody going to be safe?
I hope so.
What do you want people to do if they see them?
That's a great question. So we've been told that pilots out of Newark Airport are getting hit with lasers. You cannot take the law in your own hands. We do not want you shooting at them. It is a federal offense to shoot on an aircraft. Drones are considered aircraft. And please do not try and hit them with lasers. Our pilots are being distracted.
So you think they're American, they're our government, and they're looking for something that went missing that could be very dangerous?
Absolutely.
All right, Mayor, you got to keep us in the loop here.
Absolutely.
Because we haven't heard any of this stuff in New York.
Absolutely.
This is good, credible
good information.
Stuff. It's
Yes.
good, credible information.
Yeah.
And it's all verified and comes based, everything that I based my opinions on come from my briefings that I've gotten.
But yeah, so he explained we have drones flying in a grid-like pattern. In my opinion, they're looking for something. Now, this is coming from the New Jersey mayor, Michael Melham. I feel like that's as much truth as we've gotten so far from any official. Now, during the same period, drone sightings have increased significantly, not just in New Jersey, but also in Pennsylvania. In fact, this timeline matches when these mysterious drones first started appearing, which was about 4 weeks ago. And Mellum also added that while some of these sightings could be cases of misidentification, many of the drones are large, reportedly up to 6 feet across, and equipment with blinking lights. He further dismissed the idea that these drones are foreign adversaries, saying if they were a foreign adversary, they would know how to turn off the blinking lights. So that makes sense to me. I think it's rather interesting how much Michael Melham, the mayor of New Jersey, typically a blue state, is more in alignment and in agreement with Donald Trump than Joe Biden. In fact, the situation has raised serious concerns about government transparency. Michael Melham noted that even when he raised questions during the briefing, he was not allowed to speak or even get answers. He believes that the federal government knows more than they're telling the public. President-elect Donald Trump has also commented on the situation, suggesting that the Biden administration and the federal government are aware of what's happening right now. Trump himself has chosen not to return to his New Jersey home in Bedminster due to these concerns. Mellum also stressed the need for clarity, saying, I want them to say that these are our assets, that there's no need to worry about what's flying. The question should no longer be who owns these drones, but the real question should be, what are they looking for? He also warned residents not to take matters into their own hands. Some pilots at Newark Airport have been distracted by lasers pointed at their drones. Shooters are shooting at the drones or pointing lasers at them is illegal since drones are considered aircraft by federal law. Now, Mellum, New Jersey Mayor Mellum, urged people to stay calm and avoid these distractions, saying, hey, please do not try and hit them with lasers. Now, the lack of clear information continues to fuel a lot of anxiety. Mellum's message is pretty clear. He wants the government to be open and transparent and to assure or reassure the people that they are being protected and to explain what the drones are looking for. I think a lot of people probably agree with the New Jersey mayor here. What do you guys think? Now, Biden slapping down Trump and explaining or attempting to explain these mystery drones. Finally, on Tuesday, President Joe Biden got around to making his first public comments addressing the recent wave of unexplained drone sightings across the Northeast. When reporters asked Biden what was behind these drones, Biden reassured the public, saying nothing nefarious. Apparently, they're checking it all out. That was really helpful. Anyway, so he emphasized that authorities are actively monitoring the situation and that so far there is no sense of danger. Now, Biden's remarks are a part of his administration's effort to try and calm public concerns and counter the spread of conspiracy theories about these drone sightings. Some of these theories have speculated that the drones were a part of a search for missing radioactive material, which is a claim that the Department of Energy has already dismissed. Now, despite these reassurances, President-elect Donald Trump, he took a different stance during a Monday press conference. Trump claimed that something strange is going on, and he suggested that the government was intentionally withholding information. He also added, our military knows and our president knows, and for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. Trump argued that the officials should be more transparent and tell the public what's really happening. I'm inclined to agree with Trump on that one. And to address these concerns, several top officials in the Biden administration have spoken out. John Kirby, the National Security Council spokesperson on CNN, he was on CNN just the other day and basically indicated that the drones being reported are lawful, they're legal, they're commercial, hobbyist drones, and even law enforcement drones. Now, John Kirby stressed that these drones do not pose any threat to the public. So now a joint statement from key agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, the Department of Defense, and the FBI, supported these conclusions. The statement revealed that over 5,000 drone sightings have been reported in recent weeks. After investigation, these sightings were found to be a mix of commercial drones, hobbyist drones, law enforcement drones, and even manned aircraft such as helicopters and planes. In some cases, people have mistakenly identified stars as drones. Okay, sure. I'm pretty sure there are some people who may have made some mistakes in what they reported. Okay, maybe a star to someone with bad vision might look like a drone. Okay, cool. But let's not forget that there are a lot of legitimate unidentified flying objects in the air, and people are reporting these things. So don't blow it off like, we're overreacting or something like that. That's not cool. The statement further clarified that there are over 1 million registered drones in the United States, and on any given day, thousands of these drones are legally flying across the country. The agency concluded that there was nothing anomalous about these sightings and stated that the activity does not present a national security or even a public safety risk over the civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast. Now, Biden summarized the situation simply telling reporters, hey, there's a lot of drones authorized to be up there. I think one started and everybody wanted to get in on the deal. Okay. I feel like that's Joe Biden kind of like downplaying the situation, but maybe I'm misreading what he's actually trying to say. After investigating January 6th, now the House GOP has decided to side with Trump and is now going after Liz Cheney. So after wrapping up their investigation into the events of January 6, 2021, when supporters of then President Donald Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol as they're reporting it, House Republicans have finally actually concluded that former Republican Representative Liz Cheney should be held accountable for her role in investigating the attack. In fact, this conclusion comes after Liz Cheney was a leading figure on the House Select Committee that probed the attack and Trump's actions during it. So check this out. The report released by the House Administration Committee Chairman Barry Loudermilk from Georgia reflects the Republican Party's alignment with Trump's desire to punish his perceived enemies. In this particular report, Loudermilk wrote, "Until we hold accountable those who are responsible and reform our institutions, we will not fully regain trust." Now, Trump, who is aiming to return back to the White House, has made it very clear that he does want to see his political adversaries, including Cheney, prosecuted. He's even suggested appointing Kash Patel as the new FBI director. This is a move that aligns with his plans for retribution. Now, Trump has also promised to pardon individuals who were convicted for their roles in the Capitol riot. Now, I think that, if they've done some illegal activities, politicians, lawmakers, they need to be held accountable. So if Trump wants to punish his adversaries, if they did something wrong, illegal, go after them. Liz Cheney, who is the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, was once a prominent conservative leader. However, after she voted to impeach Trump for inciting the insurrection, she was later ousted from GOP leadership. Cheney later became the vice president or vice chair of the January 6th committee and continued to investigate Trump's actions. Her stance cost her re-election in Wyoming, where she ended up losing to a Trump-backed challenger. However, following this, Liz Cheney ended up working to prevent Trump from returning back to the presidency and even campaigning for Vice President Kamala Harris. Talk about being a backstabber, right? Now, on the day that the House GOP report was released, Liz Cheney defended the January 6th committee's work, which had culminated a 900-page report on December 2022. Liz Cheney criticized Loudermilk's findings, stating, "January 6th showed Donald Trump for who he really is, a cruel and vindictive man who allowed violent attacks to continue against our Capitol and law enforcement officers while he watched television and refused for hours to instruct his supporters to stand down and leave." She also accused Loudermilk's report of fabricating lies and ignoring the evidence that the committee had gathered. Now, there's a video that's circulating right now, actually, where it proves that Nancy Pelosi has admitted her involvement with the January 6th Capitol riots, and she's basically riding around in like a black SUV. Her daughter is like asking her questions. She's being she's being recorded on camera, and she's admitting that her involvement in January 6th. So I'm just saying. And there's also a lot of proof that has finally surfaced that Donald Trump had in fact requested over 10,000 National Guard troops to be present because he felt like things could go, awry on that particular day. Anyone with half a brain that was in the industry whose job was to provide protection, the FBI, the CIA, local law enforcement, could easily have seen on many different online forums that there were a lot of people who were disgruntled and that there was a lot of talk that basically something could pop off. So for Trump to request the 10,000 National Guard troops and for him to be denied, that should almost automatically clear him for any of this January 6th involvement. Anyway, I digress. So the House GOP report supports Trump's calls for prosecuting Liz Cheney, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and even members of the January 6th committee. Now, Trump also targeted Special Counsel Jack Smith, who had indicted Trump on 4 criminal charges related to efforts to overturn the 2020 election. However, Jack Smith finally dropped the case due to Justice Department guidelines that a sitting president cannot be charged. I ain't gonna lie, I would still go after Jack Smith's butt. Anyway, President Joe Biden is reportedly considering pardoning members of Congress and others who may face Trump's retaliation if he returns to office. However, some of these individuals have publicly said that they're not seeking such pardons. I know what they're doing here. They're trying to say that some of these individuals are not seeking pardons, but they sure ain't telling Biden not to pardon them. So it's kind of like they're politically saving face. I'm not looking for a pardon, but if you pardon me, I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. We're not stupid here. Anyway, so the GOP report also revisits the security failures during the Capitol attack, particularly the delay in deploying the National Guard to restore order. Now, Loudermilk claim the report reveals that there are not just one single cause for what happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. The Capitol is no safer today. Despite the chaos on January 6th, Congress reconvened that night and officially certified Biden's 2020 victory early the next morning. The report comes at a significant time as Congress prepares to confirm the results of the 2024 election. Democrats, in contrast to the GOP's challenges in 2020, have expressed trust in the upcoming election results. So, yeah, there you have it, guys. I mean, I'm so glad that all of this is starting to come to a head as the swamp gets drained. Anyway, if you guys appreciate the content, the updates, the truth, and the updates that I continue to bring to you guys each and every single day, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out our previous videos coming up here soon, and I'll see you guys on the next one.